Well, this is Pure PhD here.
And this is Mudita Heart. And we're talking about
Shang Chi and the Ten Rings. Legend of the Ten Rings.
Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah. All right. It was a very interesting take.
We just watched it on
Disney Plus. The thingy majig.
And it's December
31st, New Year's Eve. And we're mumbling all our words. This is a Mumblecore podcast.
But Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings was super. I was personally super excited to try and watch this movie because, like, big Marvel movie. Going into it, I knew that it was, like, going to be all this Asian representation. Could it be, like, the next Black Panther of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? But for Asian people, given that, like, you know, it's kind of positioning itself that way, could it have as much depth and, like, nuance and, like, discussing, like, you know, people of different backgrounds and, like, showing different aspects of Asian people and people of color and specifically Asians and Asian Americans and the Asian diaspora and whatnot. And, like, you know, like, Crazy Rich Asians, we're kind of in this zeitgeist now, this. And then also
like Asian representation now.
Asian representation. And it's also coming at this certain point with Marvel movies now.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, after Infinity War and Endgame and stuff like that. So they're trying to, like, branch off into new IP, new characters, new territories, new worlds, new lore, and stuff like that. So does it live up to all that hype, I guess, is the question. And, maybe what do you think, Richard? Does it live up to the hype?
When you were saying all that, I was just wondering, like, how many Asian characters are in Marvel Comics? I don't know about DC, but just in Marvel Comics, I guess, and I can't really think of many.
They just don't have that many in the MCU also.
I felt like Marvel Comics and comics history, they've treated Native Americans somewhat better, Native Americans and African Americans somewhat well, but maybe, like, there's just a problematic history with Asian Americans in comics. I mean, I guess Jubilee was an Asian American.
We don't want to make this like an Olympics of suffering kind of thing about who's got it worse, who's got it better.
Right.
But I will say, like, when it comes to, like, in terms of phases of, like, representation, and, like, when it comes to, like, who gets the first turn in terms of, like, representation, usually goes from, like, women, generally white women.
I don't know. I don't know if we should go into that. Yeah.
So, like, usually, anyway, Asians are often a forgotten minority when it comes to a lot of issues in America. I'll say they're, like, usually an invisible minority.
And what about comic books?
A model minority. Comic books. I don't follow the comics very closely, to be honest, so I can't.
There you go.
But, like,
as a person who doesn't follow the comic books, like, what do you think about Asian Americans in Marvel comics?
They're probably usually kung fu people or mystic people or, like, Asian mystic ones, or, like, that was a huge problem with Doctor Strange for sure, that they didn't really address. They kind of didn't really address it in this either.
It was probably made worse by they put Wong in here and he doesn't do much. It felt like they were just putting him in there because, you know.
So, overall, it was supposed to do a lot of this stuff, and maybe it didn't really quite go all the way it could with it. It did a lot, I guess. But I don't think it went quite all the way. I felt like it could have went, like, with something like Black Panther did with like, Black American representation and Black representation.
And, like, outside of America, too.
Right, so Black representation outside of America, in Africa even. And this movie does portray Asians both in America, in
San Francisco,
in Macau,
in New York,
in China,
in Macau,
and, like, also other Marvel characters who are Asian and, like, brings in their Asian, acknowledges their Asianhood and stuff like that. So, like, and, like, like you're saying, Wong is in this. Randall Park is not in this.
Randall Park.
Randall Park is.
I know who he is.
He's Jimmy Wong in the Ant-Man universe, and he also appears in WandaVision.
Oh, I got you. Right.
Randall Park.
I got you.
I honestly thought Randall Park.
I forgot about him.
I thought Randall Park was gonna be in this, but apparently he's not. So I must have, like, mistook some memos.
I mean, I didn't need all of them, but, like, that's cool.
Just shove them all in here.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good either.
That would have been awkward if they just forcefully shoved a bunch of Asian.
I'm Randall Park. Like, I'm here, like, babysitting Ant-Man all the way in. It's San Francisco, right?
San Francisco. It is San Francisco, so I was expecting them to have Ant-Man character Randall Park in this. And also Helen Cho was not in this, even
Right.
though she was alive at the end of Ultron.
Right.
And she was a
But they
pretty
don't
cool
go to
character.
Korea,
They don't go to
so
Korea.
it's
Also-
is it more like I guess it covers more Chinese people in this movie.
I feel like it does generally cover more Chinese people in this
Yeah.
movie. But yeah, overall, this movie's... Well, what is this movie, first of all, before we get into other stuff? Overall, this movie is about the story of Shang Chi as, like, he's like this Asian American and then discovers his destiny along with his best friend Katie. And then they go along to discover his destiny with the 10 rings and his family and stuff. And that's just the basic premise of the movie. And that's kind of what you need to know going into this. And it features a lot of different characters and, like, you know, interesting things in the lore and stuff around this. I'm not even sure exactly. We even like.
I don't even know if it's a Destiny thing because like they don't really use a Doctor Strange or a Fate thing, but like it's a story about his dad and his sister and you know.
I'm just looking at Shang-Chi.
That looks like the same. This is the same outfit he used in the movie.
Yeah, look at looking at some of this Shang-Chi art from like 1970s, like number 19.
Is that his dad? Is that his dad?
Shang-Chi first appeared in Special Marvel Edition number 15, December 1973. Art by Jim Starlin. Master of Kung Fu, the hands of Shang-Chi, and he's in this generic Kung Fu outfit, punching a guy in a sumo outfit. And like,
it's a sumo. I didn't even know it was a sumo guy. Oh my
gosh, yeah, it's just very, very bad.
Who was a sumo guy in this movie? I forgot about that.
There's a sumo guy in this movie. I don't even remember.
Yeah, like when they're doing his sister's Empire thing, the fights.
Okay, in the fights. Okay, yeah. So yeah,
we didn't see Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, there's no Iron Fist, for goodness sake. Iron Fist is not even Asian in the.
I like Iron Fist. I like Iron Fist. I like
the white guy who plays Iron Fist.
I like that movie. I like the TV show actually.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
I heard the second season was better.
I didn't watch the second season. I watched the first season.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That's a really good pilot. That's a really good pilot.
Crossover with other Marvel martial artists: White Tiger, Iron Fist, Daughters of the Dragon. Regularly appeared in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
This sounds like the worst possible thing to read.
Terrible. Written by mixed martial artist CM Punk.
Interesting.
Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's a
There's he never won an MMA on the side note, and he's currently in AEW. He's one of the most biggest stars in wrestling.
So yeah, Shang-Chi is a character that kind of has... Oh, Shang-Chi is the son of... Born in Henan province.
Boy.
And is the son of Fu Manchu, who is in the fictional Marvel universe... Oh my gosh.
Tony Leung.
So Tony Leung, inspired by Fu Manchu, called Shu Wen-Wu. Okay, so they change him. In this, Tony. In this movie, he's the son of the actor, Hong Kong actor, Tony Leung, who plays a character called Shu
He's
Wen-Wu.
the one who's you have to say. Well, I think there's only one who's still alive, but like he's that Tony Leung. Yeah, you saw him in the trailers.
Yeah, so it's good that they changed his background from being the son of Fu Manchu, because of course that's terrible. That's the word. Man, Marvel is terrible.
I don't want. This is why we should go into the race stuff because like we might go on rants and like upset another minority.
So
like,
yeah, they had to. So like, given all they had, so like maybe
they didn't have a lot to work with.
They didn't have a lot to work with making this movie.
They had to retcon a lot of stuff.
They had to really change the Shang-Chi character quite a bit in order to make it work here. And overall, they had to make this... They kind of mixed this with some, like, actual, like, kind of physical martial arts, like Hong Kong style martial arts film.
Which in itself is sort of problematic.
Which is... They actually do some good fight choreography at some parts, but for the most part, the movie is mostly, like, Marvel action adventure. Like, there's magical winds... And there's like super magic ancient arrows, and there's like an ancient village and stuff, and like there's like
you get to see certain actors do some archery there.
There's dragons and stuff. There's like
which is good, it doesn't spoil Hawkeye or anything,
Yeah, so I don't know.
That could be a thing.
So, but all that being said, like I don't know if it really adds up to much, really, in my eyes. Unfortunately, as much as it's... When I said it was all trying to do all this stuff at the same time, I don't know. it succeeds in a lot of ways, but it comes up a little short.
I had no expectation of that.
Okay.
Mudita Hart, meanwhile, here, just to give you a reference, the Mudita Hart here is like a big Marvel Cinematic Universe fanatic. He like connects all the dots between all the films. I don't do any of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like hoping like there would be more tie-ins to other things. Or like it would make sense and like, oh, maybe this is gonna tie into like some Doctor Strange lore in some way. Even more so than they do in here. They do a little bit of it, but they don't do that much.
There's almost a bare minimum with Iron Man stuff.
Yeah, this movie kind of almost stands completely by itself.
It probably would be better by itself, like it had did with Black Panther.
Black Panther basically stood by itself. This movie also basically stands by itself. They make a little reference to...
It was more with that than like Black Panther was, yeah.
Yeah, they made like a throwaway reference to Infinity War. They made like, you know, some references to old...
Yeah, they don't really build up on Infinity War, unfortunately.
Yeah, they reference it and then they don't do anything with it.
And they sort of forget about it.
And then they have a few cameos here that they don't do that much with. There's more in the post-credits cameos than there is in the rest of the movie. Most of it's just like them going on this kind of more generic kind of action-adventure, which I feel what it was.
Yeah.
And I kind of was hoping it was going to do... Either do more with the action adventure and like let it breathe and like let it like really explore like the depths of like being like an Asian kind of universe kind of thing, or like tie more into Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. But it kind of felt like it didn't really do either of those things very well, or particularly out of the water. It was like adequate, but like I don't think it was like it's anything that blew me away or anything like that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you have responses to that or.
Nope.
Yeah, this is like pretty. Is that pretty much it? Like,
yeah. I don't know. I'm just that's a good response. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. Yeah.
The characters are fun. There's Simu Liu as the main character, Sean, also known as Shang Chi.
Yeah, he's Shang Chi. Yeah.
There's Katie, played by Awkwafina, who's a lot of fun. But then I feel like she's a lot more fun earlier on in the movie. But then, as things later get more serious, then they have less to do with her. Michelle Yeoh is also in this, and she's pretty good. But she also has limited what to do with her in terms of acting.
Okay, keep going, yeah.
And then they also have Tony Leung. I think Tony Leung is the star of the movie.
There's definitely a lot of... they probably did a casting on purpose, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also, like, other characters, like... There's the characters of the Ten Rings. They also... Should we mention, like, the other character who makes an appearance that appeared before this movie, and, like, they're trying to atone...
We'll get to him, yeah, we'll get to him.
Okay, so when should we get to him, then?
Well, chronologically.
Okay, so, yeah, they go from... Basically, it starts off with, like, his regular... We're not going to get it... They start off with his regular life in San Francisco, and then you sort of find out that there's actually more to him. And then he has to go on this journey to Macau to confront his sister. And then eventually they go on this adventure to, like, the real origins of, like, the Ten Rings and, like, stuff like that. That's, like, the general summary. I don't think that's super spoilery. I think that's... Like, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's really generic plot stuff there. Yeah, I don't even know the actress who plays the sister, but that's kind of a good thing because I feel like they should get people who aren't super well-known actresses.
I hate it when they use well-known actors. I don't...
I'm good.
Sometimes Paul Rudd is good, but sometimes I'd rather him be someone nobody knows.
Yeah, like that's...
Or like someone you wouldn't expect, like Chris Evans playing Captain America.
Or Chris Hemsworth.
Or even Robert Downey Jr. when he first got cast as Iron Man.
Right, you're like not expecting it, and then like bam, he pulls it out of the water, blows it out of the water. Or like Chris Hemsworth, who's like Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, who are like nobodies. When they were originally cast, people were like, "This is the worst casting decision ever," and then like years later, people see how that was like that aged terribly. But like so it's like some things are just really inspired casting decisions in that kind of way. But yeah.
I felt they sort of got Awkwafina, and she's not terrible, but like, I think they got her because like she's famous.
Yeah,
Simu Liu is famous, albeit I forgot he was famous.
He's in terms of Asian American Hollywood, he's famous.
Right.
because he's in a few things, but
And
that being said,
if you weren't in Asian American, you probably have no idea who he is.
but yeah, that being said, like Asian Americans, like there's not really that many famous Asian Americans in general. So
Yeah.
yeah, that all that being said,
Yeah.
so yeah, as far as Asian Americans go, he would be like the kind of like I don't know, the Chris Evans of Asian American Hollywood or whatever at the moment.
Chris Evans in Marvel Cinematic Universe of Simu Liu in Asian American Hollywood.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, I saw this amazing demo footage that they had that Simu Liu used as a pitch for him to be in Shang Chi, and like it was him doing like a mixed martial art fight scene mixed with comedy mixed with like live fight choreography and stuff, and it was just him and his friends like actor friends like doing some like hand-to-hand combat and like fight choreography along with like mixed with like jokes and stuff. And I thought it was like, wow, this looks like it's that what seeing that stuff got me hyped, like, oh, this is like getting me thinking this is going to be like on the scale of like a Jackie Chan movie kind of thing. And like there's like this really amazing fight scene earlier on in the movie that like is in this bus in San Francisco that like, you know, wait till you see it. Like that's an amazing fight scene right there. And it uses all these things like both the practical stuff and like visual effects and stuff, and like that's like an amazing scene that like that has humor, that has like the best of visual effects and also the best of like hand-to-hand combat and fight choreography. That's like worth the price of admission. And then like it kind of feels like other scenes that are more action adventure fantasy. It kind of goes more in the realm of fantasy than like those hand-to-hand stuff after a while, and that kind of stuff frustrated me because like I thought like I was gonna get more of like a hand-to-hand fight choreography stuff, but yeah.
We actually had this conversation earlier in the day where like there's problems with like the Star Wars prequels and like the Matrix
away
sequels.
from your face while you're talking, so like it's more audible and stuff, or I don't know.
We have problems with like the Star Wars prequels and like the Matrix sequels. But
is it because you don't want to get germs around?
Not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah.
But
okay, never mind.
Yeah, there were issues with the Star Wars prequels and the Matrix sequels. But like I do sort of miss like the Hong Kong martial arts in those films that are sort of like missing like contemporary Star Wars and contemporary Matrix films.
Right, Matrix 1 had like legendary Hong Kong fight choreography.
No one's going to say anything wrong about Matrix 1, yeah.
Yeah, Matrix 1 had...
I mean, like, it's sort of missing in Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah, they had Ren Wu Ping do the fight choreography for that. Who's done like a lot of like Hong Kong fight action scenes. I don't think they had him back for the fight choreography in Matrix Resurrections. And you can tell. You can tell they don't have the same Hong Kong action style fight choreography and stuff like that.
I was watching The Matrix Reloaded, not a perfect movie, but like they were doing like stuff like just in a car with a belt and like a samurai sword and
and like
there's just like
agents.
there's like fingers and like hands, like all the agent stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's like so much stuff in those movies.
Yeah.
That like, you know, sometimes like a Hong Kong movie, if all it has is just a bunch of like fight choreography and the story's bad, you're like, the fight choreography is awesome. Like I'm just here to watch that stuff. Like I think it's a movie like Drunken Master 2 can be like that sometimes. Which like when I watched that originally, like I just saw it with like some like in French in the download I had for it, whatever. And I didn't understand the story, but I would watch the clips of the fight scenes over and over again, just because of how compelling just seeing all the fight scenes were. And that would range from like fights with just a few dudes versus like a whole army of dudes versus like a few people at a time. And like I was kind of expecting that going into this, and like there is some of that in this movie. Some of it like kind of falls short, and then some of it just straight up just turns into a fantasy movie and you kind of forget about it entirely.
I mean, we're also like the Matrix Resurrections happened after the pandemic started, so like they can't necessarily do that anymore.
Right. I don't know how much of this. Do you know how much of this was filmed during? I have no idea how much of this was filmed during the pandemic. Okay.
We go to production, yeah.
Filming began in Sydney in February 2020, but was put on hold in March due to COVID-19.
That's not the exact same timeline as The Matrix Resurrections, because it started February 2020.
Wow. And then in March.
That was when the pandemic spiked, yeah.
Production resumed in August before completing in October.
That just sounds like, kudos to them for even making the movie after that point.
Yeah, a lot of stuff takes
So they had to do additional shooting in San Francisco. That's very interesting. So you're going like different continents, just trying to film one thing in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. I will say, like, they do pretty good casting overall. Like, there's a lot of really great...
I don't say there's anyone who's bad,
Yeah. And, like, first kind of Marvel movie with, like, majority Asian cast. They do
the guy who isn't Asian, he's like from Romania.
Yeah, they have this Romanian.
He's not American. He's from Romania.
Razor Fist.
Fist. They don't even call him his name. They just make you figure out what his name is,
apparently,
which is a nice touch.
Apparently, the actor is Florian Munteanu, former heavyweight boxer. He's also.
I was wondering because like he looked like he was probably like some. Oh, he played Victor Drago. Okay.
In Creed 2.
So yeah, that makes sense. Like they picked a athlete to like play that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun facts. Bartok the Jumper is former UFC fighter who's a really, really random character in the MCU that I looked up the other day that I was telling Richard all about that like doesn't really matter at all in the MCU at all, but he appears in multiple MCU things.
Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I totally forgot about that too.
Yeah, because even that character, even me mentioning that character is forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they do throw in this token white guy, but they really make him a side character. And
like he's a professional fighter, like he's a boxer, you know.
Yeah.
And like he's like a German. He's like German, and what else?
What is he?
Big nasty German He's Romanian. Yeah, there you go.
German Romanian actor, model, and former heavyweight boxer.
That's good.
Cool. In the movie they call him Romanian and stuff. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
They have a pretty cool sequence in Macau.
This is probably the first instance of Romania being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Or mentioned.
Sure. They often like make up fictional Eastern countries and stuff like that in MCU.
There's a lot. This film, it begins like 1,000 years before like whatever like the current day thing is.
Oh yeah. This movie does. Yeah, even before the life in San Francisco, the movie starts with like stuff in like 1,000 years ago. I totally forgot about that.
And like in the beginning, like before the big fight in the end, like everything's like cut from like different timelines and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They jump around timeline wise. They do some interesting editing.
And it's good to follow. Yeah,
and like it comes up at relevant points and stuff about like how history is constantly coming up from the past to the present moment. So that was some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Just like, even just like the 10 rings as a weapon is just a really weird weapon idea to me. Like,
it's
I don't know.
It's because of like the ties it has with the Marvel comics as like being not a proper thingy. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable what they're doing.
Are the 10 rings a thing in the Marvel comics?
I think it's the stuff that the Mandarin uses in the Marvel comics as a weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But instead they changed it into like a whiplash weapon, basically.
Yeah, it can shoot from like...
Which is sort of a tie-dye man, I guess,
You can shoot the individual rings as beams, and then they come back like boomerangs, and then you can kind of shoot them together as like a whip, and... but then some... I don't know.
And it makes it different from other, like, wuxia films, because it has, like, different weapons in it.
Right. And then there's other wuxia stuff, like, there's, like, this kind of Tai Chi-inspired almost kind of thing with, like, using the wind and stuff like that. That's in the movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. There's, like, also...
Shang Chi doesn't really use...
We're just talking about the martial arts now.
Yeah, Shang Chi himself doesn't really use Tai Chi, right? He does it once, right?
He uses it, or yeah, it's from his mother, and then like eventually he uses it, and then this, I think maybe the strongest point of this movie story wise is like the dynamic between him and his family. That's like the kind of heart of the movie. All the action and stuff, it doesn't matter without the
Yeah, it totally doesn't.
without the stuff with his family, and like. It felt like for the first hour or so, like we didn't like.
Well, get to the point.
What is happening? Like,
what's happening here?
Yeah, the fight on the bus was awesome, and I'm like, this is great, but like, why are we doing this? Why are we at this point?
Yeah.
And now, once you feel like the stakes of it all, you're like, okay, I'm into this movie now.
Like, it's they sort of make him into a Bruce Wayne character from like Batman Begins and stuff.
Right. He comes back and like is like the prodigal son and stuff. And like
you're just a boy and you couldn't do stuff to save your parents.
Yeah. And then even like the central villain of this movie being his father is still a character that's kind of like a redeeming character in a certain way.
He's sort of like a Norman Osborn, right?
Yeah, like a Norman Osborn, except the protagonist is Harry Osborn instead of Spider-Man.
There you go.
And except Harry Osborn is a good person, is a better person, and is Spider-Man at the same time too. Combination of Peter Parker and
there's good Harry Osborns probably too, but
yeah.
you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's cool, and and also the father is like trying to get away from this life of crime, but ultimately.
I tried, and then you pulled me back in or whatever.
Stuff. Yeah. Katie's fun. She's along for the ride. Best friend. They keep alluding to their dynamic and like, will they, won't they, and stuff.
I'm glad they didn't just ship them because like I would be like that would have been the most lazy thing they could have done.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't force that. It really didn't seem forced for sure. They do set up things for another movie also. They also do set up some things for things in the wider MCU, just like towards the end of the movie. There's a lot of fun cameos. There's a few fun cameos, I should say. There's not that many fun cameos. This kind of movie is pretty self-contained as far as things go. There's a few fun cameos. Should we say like the fight scene in Macau? That one.
They used a really obscure character, and I'm like, okay, they finally used them after like 20 years or whatever, which is finally nice.
Should we spoil who it is?
I don't think we have to. Like, if we said who it is, is it going to actually add to like?
It's not going to add much. It's kind of fun. It's like a character you forget about, and then you're like, oh, okay, they still remember him. They still acknowledge he's around.
Yeah.
And then of course we mentioned Wong.
Yeah.
And like you got to use Wong.
Yeah.
It's good that they used Wong instead of Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange.
I guess in that respect it was better, but like I felt like are they just using him because he's
Asian or whatever?
Yeah.
It's better. It's honestly better that they use him there.
Yeah, you're like better than Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And also Ronny Chang appears in this movie as a fun cameo. He's not like a super important character, but he's a fun character.
He might be a super important character. I think he was in I don't know to spoil that, but I think
is he in the comics or something or
I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
he's very important to that scene with when he first meets his sister.
Yeah. Are we still going chronologically? I feel like we just are.
We basically went chronologically.
I feel like we were just trying to go chronologically at this point.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing better to do to talk about this movie.
It's worked out so far. I think we've. It's very enjoyable to listen to as a podcast as a result of what we've done so far.
There's some awesome fights in Macau.
Yeah. Yeah. When they first had the fight in Macau, I was like, Katie, why did you show up? Because like you can't do anything. Like. You kind of like hide or run or something.
Yeah.
But like it gets better, and then like the sister shows up, and then like there's like a bonding moment. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you see the 10 rings, that's all right. I don't know.
I also forgot. Like in the beginning, they show you Shang Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings, the title and everything, and then they show you like these symbols of what the 10 rings mean or whatever.
Right.
I didn't have enough time to like translate them, but like that's a nice detail.
And to be clear, I guess it's fair enough to say the 10 rings have been alluded to previously in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, this is the actual 10 rings, and then there's like the organization, the 10 rings.
Right. There's the 10 rings as the actual objects, and then there's the organization.
Yeah.
And the 10 rings organization's name was used previously in Iron Man 2. I don't know. It's kind of like
Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3.
The one with
Iron Man
Whiplash?
3?
Whiplash is Iron Man 2.
It's Iron Man 3, is it?
I think
I
so.
always mix it up.
Oh yeah, it's the one with Mandarin, right?
Yeah, is the one with Mandarin Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
I always forget. Okay. Maybe it is Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Okay. That's fun. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. But yeah, Iron Man 3, and yeah, with the Mandarin and stuff. So yeah. That was alluded to in that, but they finally do something with it in this movie. And kind of actually make up for some of that. So yeah, Macau, then they make their way from Macau to...
They get captured after... Oh, do they reveal...
Are we just going through the plot now? I thought we're not doing plot stuff.
Yeah, but it helps me remember what happens in the movie when we go for the plot.
So you want to do it this way, okay.
But like, we'll get to it a little bit. I guess we can get in and out. Like, did they ever reveal who the number one lieutenant of the father is?
It's Razor Fist, isn't it?
No, the other one. The one from their childhood.
Oh, the mask person?
The mask person, yeah.
Oh.
Really?
No.
That's some good Marvel Cinematic Universe building now. People are gonna be wondering, who next the mask person? Like, everybody's gonna be like writing all these theories down and stuff. No gives a shit.
Well.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Well, maybe it's not as important.
Captain Phasma.
So this is gonna be a book about it or whatever. A graphic novel.
And then I was like, is it part of the cinematic canon or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the 10 rings, then they go to discover the thing of Ta Loa.
Yeah.
Which the father's trying to find their mother at.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I don't know. I honestly am not that big a fan of
That's basically the whole thing, yeah.
Honestly, I'm not that big a fan of the whole region of Ta Loa.
I feel like it's not written by like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel very much like Asian lore kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like a general Shangri-La Western thing. And even when they're trying to create these the art for these characters and the visual effects, it looks like they're doing the crystal critters from Star Wars or something or whatever, even though they're supposed to be Asian.
I felt like the crystal critters were done better, and it was 4 years later, I'll be this film had there's probably issues with the production because they had a pandemic to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like the crystal critters were done better because they were supposed to look like that.
Right.
Whereas this felt like they were trying to do a vaguely Asian inspired thing, but it's still using the art style of a Western art style.
It reminded me of that Jungle Book film that everybody didn't like. I don't know if it's good or not because I haven't watched it yet, but it looks like it's not as good as the Disney version of the Jungle Book's animation. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like just something about how they did the visual effects for these characters didn't feel like they look like they're supposed. They didn't look right as in terms of the Asian folklore creatures and stuff like that.
I was mentioning how they don't you could have done a Tokusatsu version of whatever.
There's this There's one character. There's one fluffy creature.
Yeah.
And you know the one I'm talking about. That looks like it's from My Little Pony in this. it's supposed to, and you're gonna know what it is if you watch this movie. And they're like, oh yeah, this is from this place. But no,
this is so unrecognizable. He doesn't know that this was like Chinese.
What is this? And
it's
not. It doesn't.
They won't say what it is. And I guess they can't describe it either because it's in the middle of a green screen.
What it is.
It's a green screen with the
filming it. Don't know what they're reacting to.
The actors don't know what they're supposed to react to.
Yeah, and maybe the animators didn't know what they were going for either. I don't know. It just didn't seem right. The
face had no details. It's just some mesh of colors on there.
It doesn't even have a face.
Some of them literally didn't have a face.
Yeah, so I don't know, and it looked like a My Little Pony thing or something. Like it didn't look like it was. Asian
One of them's
folk.
Kieran, yeah.
It looked like some of the stuff looked like they were trying to do like some like it still had the art style like something from like Thor Ragnarok or something. And
I felt Thor Ragnarok was older.
Yeah.
I have issues with the film, but it probably looked a lot better than this
and
was.
it looked better with like how the creatures look. Things just don't look right, and like I don't know. Even and I think also people gave that criticism for Black Panther too, where like when they did the
Black Panther was a lot better.
but
It looked too armorish or whatever, but it looked like it was complete.
People
This
criticize.
looked like, and I like Gods of Egypt by Ridley Scott, but like it looked like that, like where it looked like they didn't finish it.
People criticize the
It looked like really bad CGI.
People really criticize the war rhinoceroses in Black Panther. I felt like there's stuff in this that felt like it was worse than that. Like
the Black Panther animation looked like it was from Jon Favreau's Lion King animation, so it looked phenomenal. Like this one, it was so under detailed compared to that. Whereas like it looked like in Black Panther, it looks like a real lion basically.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff looked alright, like the ones that were like Chinese lions, alright. But even then, it didn't look like a Chinese lion. The colors weren't right or something. But
they didn't color in the lines for them. They just looked like a bunch of colors on there.
The details or something. Yes, it's just.
I like it. There's like all this like lens glare that didn't help things.
Yeah, the shading was weird.
Yeah,
the lighting was weird on the creatures. It didn't balance right.
I mean, they had to do a lot because like it was probably all in front of a green screen.
Also, the creatures that they're fighting are like, what are they? Like,
they don't really explain. They don't explain what any of the Chinese.
Explain what they are.
Any of the Chinese. There's stuff that's straight up in Chinese mythology, and there's stuff like you have to explain the Marvel stuff, but like. I guess they didn't want to get in trouble for it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like the main, the main thing that they're trying to really fight.
That's the main bad guy of the whole film.
That's like, I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem like a Chinese thing. It doesn't quite seem like a Marvel thing. Because like, even the stuff I know about, I've seen like pretty much every Marvel thing at this point. I don't think it clearly maps onto anything in particular. Like, I'm like, does it come from Doctor Strange, maybe? It doesn't seem like it's quite from there. But, yeah, it's just like, they just like, this is another thing now. And I'm like, okay. And like, I just watched Thor the Dark World the other day, and I'm like, it feels like they just kind of just made up another, like, fantasy adventure
I guess
thing.
so, like, they have, like, Dark Elves and, like, Thor 2. Yeah. And, like, this one has, like this is like the darkness, Dweller in the Darkness.
Yeah,
just make up words.
The thing is literally called the Dweller in the Darkness. It's a Magic the Gathering. It's a 7 black mana drop for Magic the Gathering.
It's all the stars.
That like is flying in death touch. Like the Dweller. I think I have that card also. And I have a card in my thing here that's like the Dweller, and like if you sacrifice 3, I have a thing that's like sacrifice 3 tokens, and then you can summon the Dweller in the Darkness or whatever,
right?
For no cost, and it's like a flying 7/7 with trample or whatever,
right?
And like, it's pretty much that, and like they're like, that doesn't seem like it's from the Shang Chi universe or whatever. Then they just made up some shit. So that sounds like it's halfway between like, and even like the dragons and stuff feel like they're supposed to be Chinese. I don't think it's a big spoiler that they have Chinese dragons in this, but they don't feel
they
like
look
they're
more.
Chinese.
They look more like American or English.
I feel like I'm half expecting it to sound like Sean Connery from Lionheart or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like a Chinese dragon. Oh, Sean Connery's dead, right?
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But yeah, it doesn't seem like a Chinese dragon really. Yeah. So I don't know. Like they got to work on that. And like that being said, like it feels like they're setting up for a lot of sequel stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe they can make up for that, but I don't know if they should bank. But it sounds like they kind of, I don't know. They also were working against a lot of stuff too. Yeah. So that being said, and also I heard on the Black Panther production they had to work against a lot of stuff, and they had to fight tooth and nail to get their creative decisions in. So
which is good because like I felt as a result that was a better film.
It paid off. Was I feel like maybe with this, maybe they weren't able to fight for those creative decisions or something. I could imagine a scenario. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But that would be a reasonable explanation for why these things played out the way they did. But I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it's just it does feel very frustrating. I was very excited for this to be like, martial arts and Asian folklore and Marvel cinematic storytelling and stuff like that. And like, it just kind of like
Asian American
it gives me
representation.
just enough and Asian American representation. And it's going to be the Black Panther of Asian representation. And it's going to get into the politics of Asian American representation and stuff.
I didn't have any
It didn't
of
have
that
any of the politics, really. We didn't get to that because there really wasn't any of that in this.
Yeah.
It was just like, here's an adventure.
I mean,
yeah.
when they made it, like it wasn't as topical as it was now because the film had like 2 years to get made or whatever.
Yeah, this didn't have as much politics around Asian American representation.
The
closest it got to that was with the family dynamics.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that.
Yeah, the family dynamics around like, okay, you have your legacy. You
Actually,
have to respect people. This is the American style of living. This is the Asian style of living. That they have kind of that like dynamic between like how they're living in San Francisco and they're talking with their American family members and their Asian family members and stuff. That's like a little bit, but they just throw that in there and stuff. But
do you remember what the Wikipedia said?
Well, what was
they filmed that last actually?
Oh, they filmed that last. Oh, okay.
Which is why it's not connected with the rest of the film.
Oh, okay. Oh boy, jeez. Yeah. They said that it was filmed last, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Huh. Production additional shoot in in San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah.
Sydney. I don't know what they filmed. I mean, anything in Sydney and San Francisco.
Give it like the green screen or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish they had Randall Park in this, but
You're not. This gets a C because it doesn't have Randall Park in it, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Randall. Yeah. I mean, like they're in San Francisco. Why can't he be there? But yeah, they don't really do that much Asian American stuff in San Francisco. Like
I don't think how they ended the film. It seems like they're not going to talk about any of it anymore. Like it feels like they're going to go on Marvel.
They're going to do Marvel cinematic stuff.
Yeah,
and yeah,
which is weird because like that's what I like the most about this film in the beginning, at least. And then later on, there's other stuff I liked.
Now they're just kind of like going off to the races.
It sort of feels like the two different parts of Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah, it feels like this movie. I think when you say that, I think it's getting me thinking how. With this movie, you don't find yourself grounded with these characters as who they are in just like dealing with stuff in a normal way. They go from that very, very quickly to like already doing fantasy adventure stuff. In 0 to 60s in like 30 minutes.
We didn't cover the valet parking.
They did valet parking at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then that was like the only thing they did that was like normal.
Yeah.
And
I thought she was going to be a bus driver by the end of the film.
That would have been like an arc. Yeah. But like instead they just... And then like, this is not a spoiler, but at the end of the movie, they even talk about how like, we were doing all this crazy stuff. And like...
Oh yeah, so they do show up back with their friends in the end. Yeah, I forgot about that. So that's cool.
They talk about how they're like trying to do...
Yeah, they're the friends. They only have like one friend of each.
Yeah, they only have two friends.
Yeah. I know, I guess you said that thing about like how like most people don't, like, the most friends people have has decreased over the last 30 years, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, they're hustling. They got a service work job and stuff.
Yeah, they have like, probably have like 7 jobs in San Francisco that they gotta take care of.
Yeah, but, they're not doing much. And, they're
sort of like Peter Parker, yeah.
They're sort of like Peter Parker, except there's no time period in which they're doing street level stuff. They went straight to like doing cinematic level, like
and they allude to that in Spider-Man No Way Home also. Like, wow, you went to space, and we just stayed on Earth.
Yeah, but in this movie they do it right away.
Yeah.
So I feel like I think that is, I don't know, it feels like a problem in some ways because like you don't even know what they're like when they're dealing with like more minor conflicts. Like you just see them, but like in a certain sense they kind of explain that with Shang Chi's story, because like they show that like as he's growing up he's had this whole history and stuff. So maybe that it does kind of make sense in his story and whatnot. But even then, like it feels like him and Katie, like they don't find themselves grounded. I don't know, they're not grounded.
They're less relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like the parents are like, "Oh, you never amount to anything," and then they're in space 2 movies later.
Yeah, it happens very quickly.
It's like in the Spider-Man movie, like, "Oh, you didn't go to MIT, but like you saved half the population from dying."
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie feels like a combination of Spider-Man going straight to space, combined with Thor the Dark World, along with some of Wong from Doctor Strange, and but in an all packaged together in an Asian form of an inferior Black Panther, with none of the politics, with very little of the politics. I feel like that's the best way to describe it in terms of the Marvel films.
It's a lot of different things, yeah. It worked a little bit better with Black Panther, yeah.
This felt like at times like Lord of the Rings. Like they're just
like
Lord of the Rings stuff.
With the rings, it's Smeagol or whatever, you know. Precious.
How long has he been holding those rings? Like,
Precious. I need the powers.
They don't explain that at all either. They're just
they
like
don't. Yeah.
They just
and then they kill them off. So like, they don't have to explain it.
Okay, you're gonna say that.
Yeah.
I guess
we're at the end anyway.
You're talking about that stuff. Yeah, this movie feels like it just kind of like you just go along with it. Like the rings are dangerous. There's the darker and the dweller in the darkness. There's the magic. There's the people with the stuff. There's the man with the razor arm. And then, he had this past. And I don't know. You just kind of go with it. And it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. But like an okay episode a little bit.
I mean, I thought the guy would have been impressive if he had two arms, razor fist.
How would he drink coffee then?
No. I mean, if he had both arms with hands, with full arms. If he had no arms. If he had both arms, not both arms.
A man with two hooks for arms and two pegs for legs.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to heavily censor this. This is gonna be like for adults, like this podcast here.
Razor fist. Sorry to the parent.
Yeah. Sorry, we don't apologize. That's not what I meant.
Yeah. But Razor Fist.
He looked like such a good part. Like he didn't.
I thought they were building him up to something. They didn't really do that much with him.
We'll see.
I don't know. He's kind of a.
I mean, he doesn't have an arc or anything. But the best part was when they stole his car.
Yeah.
It's a decal that says Razor Fist on it, and without introducing what his name is, they're like, you find out because he's like, that's my car.
Really, that's a really fun moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they set up a lot of things at the end of this movie though, with like what's gonna happen with the 10 rings, and what's gonna happen with Shang-Chi and Katie and stuff, and so that's good. It feels like all this is building up to that rather than like all that's like all the stuff before it's kind of filler. Really, it feels.
I mean, Avengers is the cash cow of the franchise.
Yeah. This made a lot of money,
and
this was hyped so much. I was expecting.
It'd be so much worse if Shang-Chi was. I mean, I want him to do the personal films also, but if he's not in Avengers, there would be a criticism too.
Yeah, he is strong enough to be an Avengers character. I mean, they even have Hawkeye in the Avengers, for goodness sake. But yeah.
Hawkeye's a bigger brand, I guess. Yeah.
The project, Cretton joined in March 2019 with the project fast tracked as Marvel's
fast tracked
first films with an Asian lead. After Cretton joined, someone else was hired, and but then Cretton joined later, and then it got fast tracked. They wanted to reveal the film's connections with the 10 Rings organization. Do we want to mention the 10 Rings cameo character?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So, it doesn't really matter that much. It really doesn't. Trevor Slattery.
So, we spot everything we want, but you won't know who we were talking about unless you really follow MCU.
We watched... I'm a huge MCU fan. I had to go back to watching Iron Man 3 or whatever, and then watch, the one-shot that tied in with Iron Man 3 about the Mandarin.
You probably have more screen time in this film than in that film.
Yeah, and, it's all for, really cheap laughs. And they he's kind of filler. He's kind of comic relief.
He talks to Butt Boy or whatever. Wilson? Morris. You call him Wilson.
Wilson, the ball. Morris, the faceless My Little Pony.
6 letters, yeah.
The pillow with wings.
He's there to sell toys.
I don't even know if it can sell toys. Like, I don't.
It wasn't properly colored in.
I want to buy that as a toy.
It's an ass.
It's a butt with wings.
It's butt with wings. That's what they had the concept art.
Yeah, the creatures in this movie are just not that pleasant. Gotta say, I don't know. Yeah.
They even comment on like how he doesn't have the face.
They comment, and then like Trevor Slattery straight up during a battle says like, "I'm not helping out. I'm playing dead. That's how useless I am." So that's how useless he is in this movie. He's comic relief. He's some of.
This is a very interesting point in Ben Kingsley's career.
I don't even know if I really enjoyed any. He's there. He kind of padded. He kind of like, changed up the pace of the movie at times, I guess. But I wasn't really down for his jokes and stuff.
I felt like the jokes in this
for him anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about the rest of the movie.
I felt like the jokes in this movie were actually better than the ones in No Way Home. Actually, No Way Home, I was just growing doing all the jokes. And this one was, I didn't feel like it was too obnoxious about it.
That one, No Way Home, was like...
I felt like it detracted from No Way Home because of like, the serious plot in that.
Yeah, No Way Home had a very serious plot, but then like they had like all the little fourth wall, meta jokes and stuff. They got a nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
You can't really do that with Trevor Slattery. Like,
yeah.
I was Iron Man 3, and then no one's going to remember that was in it.
Hey everyone, I was part of a terrorist organization or whatever and stuff.
I think he does mention that actually. We just didn't establish it as a breaking the fourth wall thing.
Yeah, it was pretty silly. So yeah, Trevor Slattery, not a great character. Sorry.
It's not a great character.
Sorry, I don't know. You don't got to be that harsh. He just doesn't do it for me, I guess.
There you go, yeah.
I think Ben Kingsley portrays him like as earnestly.
He does his best he can.
It's a fun.
He works his butt off to make that character not annoying.
He does the character. It's a fun character, but like the jokes are just whatever for me. The delivery is good. The acting is good.
What's the thing he said?
The acting is good.
Yeah.
The acting. Him as he transforms into that character. Which is kind of cool.
There's that one part he was annoying when they're waiting in the car and he's like, yeah, don't you know the Planet of the Apes? They're just acting, They're acting as if they're on the horses. That part was pretty terrible, yeah.
That was very cringe, yeah.
And like, they have to pay money. Right. Oh wait, they don't have to. They own Fox now. Right. So they can make that reference. Okay. And now I guess Planet of the Apes is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Just like Star Wars is.
Yeah, there you go. This is gonna be a Planet of the Apes movie every year now, and then Trevor Slattery is gonna be an actor in them.
Honestly, I think the Trevor Slattery one shot was like a better thing with him in it than like his appearances in this movie.
I think if I rewatch this, maybe I'll get really annoyed by him, but I wasn't that. Maybe because it's New Year's or whatever, I didn't make a big deal of it.
He's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to make such a big stink about it, but like it was fine. He was fine. Movie's fine.
They didn't make it all about him. Like the whole movie's about him.
It wasn't like all about him or anything. But yeah, the heart of the movie is the family dynamic with Sean and his family.
Yeah.
And then Katie's kind of becomes more of a side character, and then Michelle Yeoh is great in this movie too.
Yeah.
Always a classy lady with everything she does. And she seems like she's still doing all the martial arts stuff, and with grace and stuff. Also doing the acting and the martial arts too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny. I was mentioning Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and like they had to talk about like the different accents they had to do for like, oh, you can't do a Hong Kong accent. You have to do a accent or like a Taiwanese accent or whatever. And Michelle Yeoh was in this, yeah.
Right, and Michelle Yeoh is doing the English and the Mandarin and stuff.
And Tony Leung did his own English.
All the actors are doing like speaking in English and Mandarin. That's actually one of my favorite parts of this movie.
And it's like you have some American English, not just British English.
Yeah, we have actors here speaking bilingual. It's a bilingual movie where characters are speaking legit English and like speaking with legit Mandarin, Chinese in the movie. It's really great seeing that. To the point where like they didn't even have on Disney Plus, they had like every other dub except for Mandarin Chinese.
Right, yeah.
Because so much of the movie already is Mandarin Chinese. Yeah, so like it's like half the movie's in Mandarin Chinese already.
Which
and
pretty
they just kind of expect you to follow it, which I'm like, that's awesome. Like it's so much that like movies just cater to people to be like, oh, we're gonna speak in English now, even though these people are from China or whatever and stuff. So.
I guess in later films it could be just English.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, like, yeah.
What do you think about it when they did that in the Power Rangers movie in 2017?
What do you mean?
With Zach and his mother.
What do you mean?
I guess you don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's fine, yeah. But yeah, he speaks Mandarin to his mom in the Power Rangers movie, which is nice.
That's cool.
I get a good
That's
kick out
always
of that,
always I always feel good when characters speak Chinese and stuff.
He's an Asian American, yeah, and he's
Usually they're like, oh, let me switch it up and like, you know that Quentin Tarantino thing that's like, hey, let's just speak English right now because it's easier for me. It's not easier for you. It's easier for the audience, and because you're a director that doesn't want to learn the language or whatever and stuff. So, yeah, I'm thinking of Inglourious Bastards or whatever when the main characters who's German speaking start speaking English.
Oh, that's what you meant.
That's
Okay,
what I meant, yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
And then just at the like 2 sentences in. Like, in a whole conversation, he just starts speaking English.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's German. It's a film that's mainly in Germany.
They're straight up in Germany.
Yeah.
And, like...
You have a German actor, yeah.
You have a German actor. They're in Germany setting-wise. It's World War II and stuff. Why does he need to speak English? Like...
I felt it was better, like, in Kill Bill when they did that.
Okay.
When they were in Japan, yeah, it's pretty much all Japanese.
Okay.
Or when they're China, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Inglourious Basterds, that's really a shame. I wonder about the German dub. Maybe the German dub's good, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie had a lot of good... Yeah, maybe I wish I could have fronted all this. But like in terms of like Asian representation, they had a lot of Mandarin speaking in this. And like, they don't pander. They're like, you gotta follow this. You need to read subtitles. It's good. The actors can do it. It's part of the story. It's part of the universe. It's part of the texture of the film. And I think it's really great, so...
In the future, it's going to be problematic, though.
Oh, yeah?
With different Chinese dialects spoken.
Sure. But, you know, I mean, it's a starting point, you know? Yeah.
Hopefully it's a starting point.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, it's the majority language spoken. I know there's Cantonese and stuff like that, but yeah, I know it's complicated, but... Yeah.
Especially now, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Was there anything else?
Do you remember, just because off the top of my head, do you remember the ending with the sister?
Yeah, when she, yeah.
So yeah, they, I think Razor Fist will have something in a future movie.
Yeah, she'll appear in a future movie. I think they're going to do stuff.
I don't know if, I hope they don't make her a bad guy, because it sort of doesn't make any sense.
I don't think they're going to do that, but like, they are building her up to something.
Yeah.
And they are implying that she's going to be up to things, doing some interesting things.
Yeah.
And, but it's not, it's up to us to see what's going to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
And, yeah. This movie sets up a lot of stuff. And, yeah. And they also imply that, I don't know, they set up a lot of stuff with the 10 rings themselves as objects and also as an organization. And it's not really clear what's going to happen with either of those things. I don't know. It feels like a little bit like... Come on, you got to give me something, though. Because, like, it feels a little bit like I literally don't know what's going to happen.
It's just them on the screen, yeah.
It's literally like just saying some stuff's going to happen. So, like, I guess I got to find out now.
It sort of felt
like they don't really set me up for, like, give me a little hint of something. Like, you know.
I sort of feel like it was like the original... Like the trailers for the actual movie itself, where they don't tell you the plot, like it's a family plot or whatever. But they just say it's like, it's a Marvel film. It's gonna make a lot of money, and that's what they're gonna say about it.
Yeah, even this,
like they could have been like marketing towards the actual story of the film, which would have been nice.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of Yeah, even this poster I'm looking at.
Yeah,
right
it looks
now,
problematic.
this
Yeah,
theatrical poster, I feel like doesn't really tell me much about this movie.
it sort of looks like the poster that we saw, like not the poster, but like the comic book, thing with the Mandarin in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that we saw with the
Shang
Shang
Chi.
Chi Wikipedia.
Here's this Golden Gate Bridge. Okay,
I can't even see it.
Golden Gate Bridge on the right.
It's barely in the movie, I guess. What else? You want to talk more about the scene in San Francisco?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
It's
I
Mandarin.
thought we were wrapping up.
You want to wrap up?
Yeah, yeah. What do you want to talk about?
They do cover some Asian American stuff, which is nice. Like, what are you gonna do with your future? Oh, you're just a valet parker, and then like she's like, I want to see you drive to the younger brother or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that's cool because like it shows like service work. Like there's Asian Americans doing service work. Who can be very charismatic and everything.
Instead of model minorities.
Yeah.
But they're also showing Asian American model minorities not living up to their potential because they're mentioning how that like they also they also point out how that like one has an honors degree from Berkeley and the other speaks 4 languages and stuff like.
I guess they couldn't really cover like there was a recession or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is.
And like.
But like in the character Sean though, he's doing it because he's trying to avoid his past.
Yeah.
That's why he's doing that.
Yeah. Like she learns how to stick to archery. Which is I don't know. It felt like it was like a normal. It was a non-superhero movie. It would have been a more interesting.
For her,
thing.
she says it's because like she picks up things very quickly, but then she drops them off, and then like she goes on an arc to learn.
Her driving has been good throughout the whole film, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was,
and the car's on the right side.
I was half expecting her to like pump into Razor Fist's car at the end in the big final battle.
That would have been really cool, like cameo then, right?
And then let's start like driving over over the darkness demons. I don't even know what the fuck they're called. Sorry.
It's fine, yeah.
The imps of darkness.
It's already adult content.
Yeah.
Podcast anyway.
Yeah, but
the family's cast well. I don't know if there were any famous actors.
Cast well. Yeah, like when they're having the dinner table scene.
You don't.
At the beginning.
Oh, I remember when they get introduced. Like you see this rich guy in the car, but it's not actually him who's the main character. It's the guy who's the valet who's the main character, which I thought was pretty cool.
That was a cool.
Yeah.
Head fake. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't talk about the karaoke in the film.
The karaoke's great.
Yeah, it's all product placement for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's a whole new world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's even one with a cameo in the end, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. They have like several scenes of karaoke, but there's only like 3 songs sung.
Yeah, but it's just enough for you to be like, this is awesome. This movie's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Wong's going to do more karaoke in future films.
I have a friend of a friend whose name is Katie.
Yeah.
And she's Asian.
Yeah. And she does karaoke?
She loves karaoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're talking about, and they don't talk about it anymore, which is a shame. But, like, does Katie have, like, a dad or a grandpa who passed away in the beginning of the film?
I don't remember.
Well, like, the alcohol and, like, the cigarettes.
Really?
I think we're going to wrap up, alright? That's right, okay.
We've been trying to wrap up for a while.
Okay, I got you, yeah.
We're just trying to find random stuff to dig out of the couch cushions now and stuff.
That's alright.
Yeah, also there was like a whole sequence at the beginning. There was like the 1,000 years of the 10 rings and stuff, which is alright.
Yeah, we're still talking about like the whole forest, which is a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, but yeah, there's good effects. I don't know. Yeah, it's good.
It's good, okay.
It's an alright movie. Overall, good step forward with Asian American representation. Could have went further, but also did a lot of things, setting up future movies, which is also good. Overall is okay.
I was very uninvested in the beginning because I didn't see where they were going and the trails went nowhere. But once I got the family dynamic of the film figured out, it clicked very good for me, and I think it's probably better than worse for Asian American and Asian representation in cinema.
Right. So once again, it's Thor: The Dark World adventure with like Spider-Man, kind of like coming of age, along with I forgot whatever this shit I said. Spider-Man escalation to coming of age, and then also karaoke. Also Wong is here.
and Trevor Slattery.
Trevor Slattery's here, and
There's a lot of stuff.
setting up other movies
And Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's alright. Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta do. I hope they do. I hope they do go even further with the next iteration. Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Cool. All right.
Let's go Marvel.
This is Mudita Hart.
And PRPHD.
All right. Signing out.
See ya.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Take it easy.
Countdown. Yeah, let's go. Hello, this is PRPHD here.
And this is Mudita Hart. And
We're
we're talking about
Shang Chi and the Ten Rings. Legend of the Ten Rings.
Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a very interesting take.
We just watched it on
Disney Plus. The thingy majig.
And it's December
31st, New Year's Eve. And we're mumbling all our words. This is a Mumblecore podcast.
But Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings was super. I was personally super excited to try and watch this movie because, like, big Marvel movie.